As a mayor, it's my pleasure to tell you something about cities. I want to tell you something about cities, not only as a place where we live or as an interesting topic. I want to tell you something about cities as actors and as an important level of government. We are living in a decisive period regarding the future of our planet. And we all know if we want to address the global challenges, we have to address them on a local level. What I want to point out, if we want to save our planet, we have to empower cities. For the first time in history, more than half of the people are living in cities. And this is going to be rise to 70%. And within the next 3 decades, the number of people will rise by 2.5 billion. These 2.5 billion people will live in cities. Every week, 1.5 million people move to cities. Every week. By now, already 80% of our global economic output is produced in urban areas. But cities currently produce also more than 70% of greenhouse gases. So the task is pretty clear. We have to create sustainable cities. And there is not too much time left. The graphic shows our ecological footprint and the world's carrying capacity. You see that since 1970, we need more resources than our planet can sustainably deliver. And you see the last possible turning point is now, and not 2030. I want to mention 3 of the global tasks we are facing. One is, of course, climate change. We already experience rising temperatures, sea level rise, flooding, storm surges, extreme weather events, and so on. How can we act on a local level? Mannheim, as many other cities, realized that local action has a direct global impact. That's why we developed a sustainable energy action plan. We monitor more than 60 projects and concepts with the goal to reduce CO2 emissions by 40%. The impacts of climate change, conflicts, and civil wars are causing migration flows. More than 60 million people worldwide are refugees right now. Migrants account already for 11% of the total population in developed countries. Action has to be undertaken where it's needed. And action has to be sustainable. That means it has to build up capacities on the local level and the community. Mannheim is doing so in its city-to-city cooperations. For example, we built up startup centers in Hebron, Palestine. We developed the concepts together with the city of Hebron and trained the staff on-site and in Mannheim business incubators. Every drop counts is the name of an integrated wastewater management project, which we established also in Hebron. And in the Turkish town of Kilis, we support Syrian refugees. In Kilis, 90,000 inhabitants are hosts for more than 100,000 Syrian refugees. We established a project to provide education and vocational training to Syrian women. For all these projects, it is crucial that we create new prospects for the future near or in their regions of origin. If 1,000 cities would realize these kind of city-to-city cooperations in Africa and the Middle East, this would really make a difference. We live in a so-called VUCA world, a world of vulnerability, uncertainty, of complexity, ambiguity. They all reinforce the desire for simple answers. Racism, nationalism, and religious radicalization seem to be answers. But they aren't, and they create more problems. And they disrupt local communities. So what can we do? We have to act again on the local level, and we have one advantage. Cities are much more inclusive than nation states, because it is much easier to harness identity on a local basis and to create a sense of belonging on a local basis than on a nation-state level. In Mannheim, we created an alliance for living together in diversity. Already 250 organizations joined, and it is a growing network. We started a program of dialogues and encounters with 100 events each year. If cities and citizens don't act on a daily basis to strengthen cohesion, our cities will become no home for anyone. The second approach is that we want people to participate. But we know participation is not automatically inclusive. We gain to foster public participation in a different way. We directly invite people to be involved in our local democracy. Participation today does not mean just to influence decisions. Participation means more and more co-creation of the city we live in. During this year, we will define a new mission statement and goals for Mannheim 2030. What we do is to combine the global sustainable development goals and our local agenda. The United Nations, the European Union, and Germany have adopted the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, to secure the future of the planet. But if they are just another declaration, they won't make a difference. Therefore, the basic idea of implementing the SDGs is to measure the results. Measuring results means establishing evidence-based politics. Measuring results and open data also enable a new kind of public debate. Even the creation of indicators could be an area of co-creation. The second decisive condition is the Sustainable Development Goals will be only effective if they are localized. What we do is to cross-link the agendas, the international agendas, and our local agenda to one coherent system. This Mannheim model could be a role model for implementing the SDGs. But don't get me wrong, localizing the SDGs is not only a tool. And localizing the SDGs is not about convincing cities. Cities are convinced. Cities are driving forces. Without the cities, the Paris Agreement would never have been reached. When the United States quit the Paris Agreement, the cities in the US declared that they will comply. Why is that? The late Benjamin Barber, who was an inspiration for many of us, gave two answers. Firstly, nation-states are founded on the idea of independence. But none of our today global problems can be addressed in an independent way. We are living in an interdependent world. Cities knew this from their origin. Secondly, nations are not as close to the people as cities are. They don't feel the same sense of urgency. And because of their size, they act and think vertically instead of implementing a horizontal, cross-cutting thinking, what we need. That's why nations have become, in some respect, dysfunctional. Therefore, cities have created more and more international networks. They try to gain influence, but this won't be enough. Cities have to be empowered to do their job. But power within nation states is still centralized. What we need globally is a devolution of power. We need to promote and implement the concept of local self-government as it is defined in the European Charter of Local Self-Government, which is signed by 47 nations. And what we need is a city rights movement. That is what we promote with the Global Parliament of Mayors. We could call this a city rights movement, and we stand side by side with other city networks. The conclusion of this all is very clear. Without the empowerment and strengthening of cities, there won't be a way to tackle the global problems effectively. Maybe for you, this is a new way to look upon your city. What I want is to encourage you to be a citizen. Thank you.